that being an infrastructure architect, helping design technology and technology that goes in data centers. Throughout that process, I've always been a self-educated, self-help type of person where every single day I try to be better than I was yesterday. I'm always working on myself. And when you spend most of your time constantly trying to better yourself, then everything around you is going to get better. All the people around you, you're gonna lift yourself up. You're gonna lift those people up, and that's what I try to do every day. And at some point, I was into real estate investing. I had a couple of single family rentals. I slowly moved into multifamily, so apartment buildings, and then in that journey, I ended up helping and mentoring a lot of people who are like, hey, how do I go from not a college graduate to owning millions of dollars in apartment buildings? How does that happen? And so I spent a lot of time mentoring people, and out of that, just really had the calling to help people more. And I seem to enjoy and just so much more fulfilling to help people overall in general, not just on real estate, but in life, and help them, level up. And that's how the high performance coaching business came about. And it just took off like something I couldn't have imagined. It kind of grew its own legs. And, I still don't know where this journey's taken me. It's still on a monthly basis. It's evolving. But that's pretty much what I do. I spent a good portion of my time in real estate, working on my projects, and the rest of it doing coaching.
Do you find that your time in the Marine Corps and in law enforcement helped you become more focused and aware of your surroundings and disciplined to what you're doing today?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the structure alone makes a huge difference. No excuses, just get things done. For the military, it was more structure and get things done, no excuses. You can do anything. There is no quit, that kind of mentality. Take ownership, take accountability. And in the police officer realm, it was more about being a first responder. It was more about handling things as they happen and, being able to work under pressure and in very fast situations that came up. So both of those have their own takeaways, but definitely had a impact on my life. What I really think shaped me and molded me to who I am is, one of the stories I've told people is I got hit by a car when I was 5 years old, which I should have been dead. I got off a school bus. I was one of those little kids, you see in the videos when you're in school. In 1978, I got off a school bus and the car went around the school bus doing like 58 miles an hour. And it hit me and it collapsed my lungs, split skin in my heart, broke my leg, shattered my elbow, broke my arm. I spent 3.5 months in intensive care, about 9 months after that in a body cast from the chest down, and then another year in physical therapy. So I really am a walk-in miracle child from that event. But I think that taught me perseverance and to never quit and to never give up, and just pure strength of, don't ever stop. If you can never give up. And when I look back, I really think that's where my core strength came from, to just always move forward no matter what, no matter how many times you fail.
What happened to the driver? That's interesting. Like, what became of them?
Yeah, you know what, to be honest with you, I don't know. I can tell you because it was 1978. I was 5 years old at the time. What I can tell you is that he was an 18-year-old kid and he had a baby in his arms while he was driving. I don't know the whole story of what happened to him, but it was kind of a crazy scenario. And so he wasn't paying attention, and school bus was stopped. And at that time, 78 was a very different time. I know that the flashing lights on the school bus were broken. They weren't working and they hadn't gotten them fixed. And so he just went flying around the school bus. I was just getting home from school. My mother opened the front door because it was about that time. She opens the screen door and I took off running across the street. And really, that's what saved my life, the doctor said, is that basically I was running, because he would have just mowed me down if I hadn't been running. But when I was actually hit, when you're running, your legs up, your arms are up, he actually caught me. My arm was up, my leg was up, and it kind of protected me. I took the brunt of the blow on the left side. And that's what kind of caused him to throw me and knocked me out of my shoes. I mean, I remember it right up till I passed out. because my lungs were collapsed, so I couldn't breathe. And so I remember, I'm going to guess 30 seconds to a minute of it. I don't even know, until I passed out. And then I woke up in an emergency room. I woke up in an operating room, and they put me back to sleep pretty quickly. And then I woke up in a hospital bed in traction, like with
Wow.
cast on my legs and my chest and my whole body. And I had needles or steel rods through my limbs, holding them in the air. Yeah.
Wow.
It was pretty crazy.
And then you were still able to join the Marine Corps with that body destruction. I guess your body healed okay.
Yeah, and so it was pretty crazy. I remember, so my left arm was in a cast, then a body cast from the chest down, and that went down one leg. And because my left hip was broken, I actually had a separate cast on my left leg going down, and then I had a steel rod through my left leg, holding my knee up in the air in traction because my hip was broken. So they positioned it so I couldn't move. And when I got those casts off, I remember the doctor, I have a very specific memory of when the doctor cut my cast off my arm, because my elbow, as you can see, there's a scar here.
Yeah.
The doctor he cuts the cast off, and he's telling my father that, yeah, he might never have mobility of that arm again. He probably won't be able to use it. And I'm really kind of not paying attention to him. And I just start doing this. And the doctor stops talking, and he looks at me, and he walks over, and he's like, "You're moving your elbow," because my elbow it was shattered. It wasn't broken. It was shattered into, pieces. And I was just, lucky, prayed. My parents prayed, and I healed well. And I actually became a pretty good athlete in high school. And I just there was nothing going to hold me back. I heard a lot while I went through that ordeal, and shortly after that, I very quickly became that child where my grandparents and my parents were like, "Don't do that. You're going to get hurt. You can't run. You can't do," they kept telling me not to do things that I was just doing. I was just having fun. I was a child. I was playing. I was running. And they told me, "You can't do that. You're going to hurt yourself." And I was like, "What do you mean? I can't do that?" And so very quickly, "I can't do that" always turned into, "I will show you that I can do that." And so I worked really hard to learn to walk again and to just become strong. And I became an athlete. I was on the football team. I was a track star. And then, I went into the Marines. I became a police officer. And I very rarely brought up what happened to me because I didn't want to point it out. I didn't want, especially in the Marines.
Yeah.
I played it down big time. Right? Like, "Oh yeah, I was hit by a car when I was 5. I'm fine." And the doctors examined me, and I could do everything they wanted me to do. So they were like, "Okay, let me in."